Hey guys, Sean here with another review this week. Now if you haven't been tuning into my website, cmfilmcommentary.com, you may have missed over the last couple of weeks some new reviews of films like Shaka King's Sundance hit Newlyweds or Eliza Hittman's film It Felt Like Love. We have interviews on the site cm, the letter cm, filmcommentary.com. Now if you haven't gone to that page or made donations to my site, I hope that you'll enjoy this next review, another Sundance review of the film Interior Leather Bar by James Franco and the experimental gay filmmaker Travis Mathews. Now I mentioned Travis Mathews' sexual orientation because Interior, Leather Bar, is a very experimental docudrama that Franco and Travis Mathews co-directed. Now it stars Val Lauren as he's an actor who has worked with James Franco on such films as the Sal Mineo biopic Sal, and has worked with Franco to create a recreation of the 45 minutes of footage left out or apparently lost of the X-rated version of William Friedkin's 1982 film Cruising. For those of you who are not familiar with Cruising, Al Pacino starred in a film about a man who goes undercover as an operative for a socially intelligent I believe it's the FBI, and has to infiltrate gay clubs where a lot of bad behavior is tied into the sexualized behavior of the homosexuals in the neighborhood that Pacino is working in. Now the problem with Cruising is that Friedkin had to eliminate this footage in order to get the film theatrically released. 45 minutes of it is said to have been gone, and from there Franco and Mathews used that as their jumping off point to create a new version of that 45 minutes of footage. Interior Leather Bar is a 60-minute piece, and I would have to describe it as a member of the avant-garde, even though it is a documentary of sorts. The project is really a 2-day recreation of this 45 minutes of lost footage, but the truth is that there is no Pacino himself, just a Pacino-type character that Val Lauren is meant to embody. And the other figures who show up to portray the extras or the other performers in the gay club that Pacino-ish character is infiltrating are actually, in some cases, gay partners who talk to the camera in a documentary interview format, or people who are exhibitionists and explain to the world that they want to perform for Franco, not only because he is now, as we know, a filmmaking artiste, but also for Travis Mathews, whose films have in many ways been controversial and been representatives of queer theory in the last several years of avant-garde filmmaking. Mathews is an exemplary filmmaker and in fact is a character in Interior Leather Bar. What's so interesting about this film as a docudrama is that the characters are actually the filmmakers. Yes, it's a meta-exploration of making these films, but Franco, who is an artist himself who traffics in the meta, not only the most recent controversy of featuring himself on a novel based on the book version of William Faulkner's As I Lay Dying, but also in Cormac McCarthy's Child of God, in which Franco stars. He also was in this year's End of the World? Oh, I'm so sorry that I've forgotten the name of the film. It's really pathetic. But he was in a film with This Is the End is the name of the film. I did review it on this channel, and I apologize for losing that, but I wanted to show you that I know the film. Directed by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, James Franco in that film plays a version of himself. Now that's a comic performance, and here in Interior Leather Bar, Franco also puts on far less of a funny performance as himself, as a very serious director, hoping to break the hegemonic standpoint that human and male, especially sexuality, has left the presentation of women and gay sexuality out of the American mainstream. Yes, he rails against porn, and this was another of his subject matters when he produced the 2012 documentary on kink. Now, Franco's exploration of sexuality here doesn't seem to be emanating from him, despite the fact that in the recent roast and in This Is the End, his sexuality comes into question. So I want to focus more on Val Lauren's performance in the film and on the presentation of Travis Mathews as a character. The fact that Mathews appears in itself is sublime, as a representation of auteurship, which we think of Franco as a major representative of. He seems to be an artist, an author of what he does, not only as a director and the screenwriter of his adaptations of Faulkner's work, the Sal biopic that he wrote himself, or even Cormac McCarthy's Child of God, which just showed at the Toronto International Film Festival. But Franco is also a performer. To see Mathews perform in this film and to narrate and to literally hold the camera in front of some of these male sexual performances throughout Interior Leather Bar is a powerful exploration of what makes him not just an auteur, but his avant-gardism of filmmaking artistic statement. Similarly, Val Lauren is just an actor. He's someone who's worked with Franco and narrates in Interior Leather Bar how he wants to be not just a performer, but a participant, a collaborator for things that Franco does. In fact, in his words, if Franco says that he'll do it, he has enough faith in him to perform. The trouble with Interior Leather Bar is that since it's a recreation of a sexual situation in cruising, Val Lauren, who is a heterosexual man communicating with his wife over his cell phone, just a working actor trying to get good gigs, doesn't really know that he feels comfortable being in an explicitly sexual environment. And that is exactly what Mathews and Franco create here in a studio in downtown Los Angeles, where performers actually perform non-simulated oral and digital sex on one another. The environment in which the Pacino character in Cruising was going to infiltrate is a dark, noirish, hellish, hell-bent Los Angeles portrayal. It has all the colors of Suspiria and all the dark noirs of color photography in films like Chinatown. And sadly, that comes into Franco and Mathews' synthetic environment here. I say sadly because it disturbs Val Lauren, and that is kind of the exploration that Interior Leather Bar is going for. Franco, Mathews, and Val Lauren presented the film at Sundance and have said that it is an exploration of male and human sexuality. Now, because Val Lauren is not a homosexual man, but is portraying a homosexually inclined character, or someone who is willing to participate in a dirty homosexual environment, I think that Interior Leather Bar is a powerful artistic statement. And to use him as the narrative device, him being Val Lauren, and even further, the Pacino character from William Friedkin's Cruising, is... Once you see the film, you recognize that there's an incredible power to it. The fact that Lauren shares screen time with Travis Mathews, and then Mathews and Lauren with the artist that is James Franco, in addition to these performers who are performing what in some different formats would be considered pornographic material, is part of the excitement of Interior Leather Bar. And I don't mean that in a sexual way. I mean that this is a new presentation of homosexuality in its relationship to the presentation of sexuality in American film. This is a very American film in its relationship to the presentation of sexuality, in that censorship would never allow Interior Leather Bar to make it into an American mainstream theater. First of all, it's not completely narrative. Though it is a docudrama, and it looks like much of it has been staged and edited from 2 days of work, you can tell that Interior Leather Bar does have a documentary feel. And yet, because of its presentation of sexuality that others would term lascivious or pornographic, my suspicion is that, much like Mathews' other films, it would never make it to a theatrical platform. The only people who would apparently want to see Interior Leather Bar are queer theory students, auteurs, or people who are watching it in an educational platform. The problem with that is that educational film won't do this film justice, because Interior Leather Bar is an exploration of the performance of artistry and directorship. Now, I think that as an avant-garde student myself, and as a lover of James Franco's work, because I think that he is working so prodigiously and so prolifically that he has become a sophisticate, in my opinion, on top of the fact that on this channel we've reviewed This Is the End, 127 Hours, Date Night, and a multitude of other films in which he's appeared and been a significantly enjoyable actor. I think that Interior Leather Bar deserves a theatrical platform, and whether its NC-17 rating or the MPAA will ever allow it to play is really the most significant issue with it. It has shown at major gay festivals around the country, including Outfest and in Los Angeles at Newfest, but I think that Interior Leather Bar has another future, not just a cult future or an educational future, or an auteurist future, or a school institutional future, but in real theatrical platforms. It's not just that Franco and Travis Mathews are there, but that Val Lauren will become more famous, that William Friedkin has released a book, that it has a historical value for gay film and its presentation of sexuality in the American mainstream. Getting marginalized film into the mainstream is part of Franco and Mathews' alternative goals here, and Interior Leather Bar is an accomplished piece of work, even if it is, sadly, 60 minutes and not 75 or 2 days worth of information. Its length might relegate it to art house showings or even to art installation pieces, but listen, if Picasso Baby, Jay-Z's film with Mark Romanek, or Marina Abramovich's documentary can make it onto HBO, so can Interior Leather Bar, and it can have a real future. I hope you'll take me up on that, whomever is listening that wants to see Interior Leather Bar, and check out James Franco and Travis Mathews' Interior Leather Bar, which showed at Sundance 2013. Thanks, see you soon.